time. I think this is just a conversation with our parents community, and Jed is leading the charge, and I just hope we have a candid discussion today, and get some, hopefully collectively we get into some actionable solutions for our dire situation. So I want to turn that to Jed, who is going to moderate today's forum.
Okay, sorry, I am letting people in as I'm doing stuff. What I'm going to ask every non-candidate, to turn off your video and mute yourself, just in the interest of. So once again, every non-candidate, mute yourself. I will. Oh yes, actually that's a great idea. One of our parents asked, candidates, would you mind editing your profile name to put if you have a slate you're with? Like you can also do that in your introduction. But if you wouldn't mind editing, so it reflects the slate. Yeah, and I think I just, I want to kind of go over, as people are coming in, I want to go over what we had pretty much discussed. We're doing this super focused. This is a focused forum of the Infinity PTA, because we're in the midst of making some noise, I would say. We're in the midst of asking questions, and the questions are related around our teacher shortage. Infinity has struggled with a lot of teacher shortage, and the parents have made it clear that they wanted to address it. So we've been going to the district, and then we realized that with the election upcoming, we wanted to hear the candidates, and we wanted to hear what you guys, in particular, all you candidates would do in regards to the teacher shortage. We all know that there is one. We know that it's nationwide, but we wanted to get your opinions. We wanted to get your solutions and have a discussion. So yeah, so if there's a candidate what I'm asking is all candidates, if you can keep your video on, but everybody else turn your video off, mute. And we are going to start with opening remarks. I just want to make sure who's here. I am gonna go in a nice random order. I will start, just because you were the first one in, I will start with Erica, if you wanted to do a quick 2 to 3 minute introduction about who you are, and then we'll just keep going on and on. So, yeah. Do you need me to ask you to unmute, Erica? Is that? Yeah, we'll try that.
Somehow you got control over that again. I don't know. But all right. My name is Erica Baez. I am ballot position F8. I have 2 children in the Jersey public school system. To keep myself informed, I joined my children's PTA, becoming PTA president. I watch all the BOE meetings, and I take active part in the parent community meetings. I'm working with the superintendent and trustee Bertobello on trying to bring Zoom to all the PTAs across the district so that we can keep our parents engaged and informed. And the 3 things that I want to concentrate on as board member would be the students' needs, making sure that one-time infusion of over $150 million in the American Rescue Plan relief funds goes to making sure that we are looking after the social emotional needs of our children, making sure that we do have certified teachers in place along with support staff so that we can deal with the learning loss and ensure academic success. And to also make sure that these funds are used for the things that kept us out of the school during the pandemic and our historical issues, like our infrastructure, dealing with our water and HVAC systems, upgrading the electrical systems, and finding a way to create a sustainable budget that we plan for for the future, not only just year to year. So those are things that I would focus on. Again, thank you for having me. My name is Erica Bias. My position is FA. Thank you.
Thank you. Natalia, how about you? Do you want to go next?
Sure. Thank you so much for the invitation. My name is Natalia Ayofi. My ballot position is 3F. I'm running on the Education Matters slate together with Paula Jones-Watson and Eunice Barkuch, who both are here today and will tell you about themselves. I am a parent volunteer with our public schools since 2013. I've been at various times president, vice president, secretary, and a committee director on a parent council of PS number 16, but my work spans across the board and across the district, so to speak, working with various parent council groups, whether it had to do with helping them build an after-school program, stronger parent council, and negotiating with the district on various issues. I've had an opportunity to advocate before our district administration on, stopping the teacher cuts, and some of it included the Infinity Institute's, possible relocation as the building issues still loom over us. So in that capacity, hopefully, as I'm running for the school board, not for the first time, as many of you might know, I would like to focus on strengthening our parent council groups across the district, across all of our 40 schools, giving them the necessary tools that they need to succeed and to be strong, to advocate for their schools, to obviously constantly seek alternative sources of revenue for our never-ending budget shortages, and to focus on, actually, much like Erica said, to make sure that those resources that we did receive from the federal government are utilized properly to support the mental health of our students, health, safety, and all of the above, make sure that those resources are utilized, and subsequently support the teacher shortages as well to alleviate that. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Afaf, did I pronounce that right? I'm sorry if I didn't.
I'm sorry, what you asked me?
Well, A, do you want to go? But also, I don't know how to pronounce, did I pronounce your name incorrectly or
yes,
incorrect?
you pronounced it correct.
Ooh,
yeah,
okay.
I'll go now. Good evening, everybody. Thank you for having me here. My name is Afaf Muhammad, and my ballot number is 5F. I'm a lifelong resident of Jersey City. I graduated from Jersey City Public Schools. I have 4 daughters who attended Jersey City Public Schools, who graduated, 2 currently in, one in Henry Snyder High School and the other in A. Harry Moore. Currently, I'm serving my 3rd term as a Democratic committee person for District 8 and Ward B. I am a mental health first aid instructor. I was a unit director for the Boys and Girls Club in Marion Gardens. And that's where I help children with their homework and also with activities to improve their social and academic skills. I also volunteered for PS 23 as the parent council president for 2 terms, where I was trained with SPAN, the statewide parent advocacy network, to learn protocol when asking for funding or to host an event at the school, and also how to bring an issue to the principal and to follow the chain of command if the issue is not resolved. I also volunteered at PS 15 as a classroom hero for Angela Cares, where we gave support for the teacher in the classroom and assisted children with their classwork. PS 24, I created projects with children who were in school suspension and considered to be having social and emotional issues, where I would help them to self-regulate and also to understand when things are happening around them and not to them, and how to just deal with their emotions when ever a crisis comes up for them. Some of the things I'm looking to do in the school are to bring mental health awareness as far as with the teachers and with students as well, because the teachers spend 8 hours with our children, and they also have a life outside of school.
Thank you. And as it says in your thing, your ballot position 5F, right?
Yes, 5F.
Great. How about you, Paula? Are you ready to you want to go next?
Sure, I'm ready. How are you? Thank you for having me here. My name is Paula Jones Watson. The ballot will be Paula Jones. I'm 1F. I recently married, so the Watson part is not there. I am a resident of Jersey City, the product of the Jersey City school system, and my children are also the product of Jersey City school system and my grandson. I worked for the Jersey City Public Schools for 34 years, and during my tenure there, I was a classroom teacher. I taught in grammar school and high school. In the mid-70s, I was head teacher for the Title I program at PS 24 school. I transitioned to Lincoln High School, where I spent most of my teaching years, although I was in some of the other grammar schools. And while at Lincoln, I administered many of the after-school programs. I was class advisor for 10 years. And for several years, I was the special education coordinator. Then I had the privilege, the opportunity to go to central office, and I was one of the first 2 district inclusion specialists. And as a district inclusion specialist, we went through the various schools, facilitated meetings, gave sensitivity training, focused on various learning styles for children with disabilities. I also am a professor at Hudson County Community College. I'm still working. I've been there for 22 years. I've been active in the community since the mid-70s and have sponsored many benefits and scholarship benefits for the students of the city. I am the trustee board at my church, Zion Baptist Church. I'm also I'm former president of the Tau Gamma Delta Lambda Omega chapter sorority in Bayonne, New Jersey. So I've filled quite a few tenures, and I really feel that as with my years of experience, that my many years of experience will allow me to be able to facilitate a campaign or a platform that will schedule priorities. I feel privileged working with Natalia and Johan, because I'm sorry pronouncing your name wrong, because I'm coming from the aspect as an educator. Natalia is coming as a parent, and Eunice is coming as a student, and he has done quite a bit of research in Jersey City that's showing the inequities of what's going on in our city. I also, in one of my programs that I really would like to work on, especially with the special ed program, is transparency to parents regarding children's IEP. I would like to see some more vocational programs that would address our children. So we are, I think we're a powerful team, and that together that we may be able to show wherever there may be weaknesses in a district, I feel that we can bring them to strengths.
Thank you. Thank you. And you are, just because other people are doing
I
it.
am
you are
1F. I'm Paula
1F.
Jones, 1F, yes.
Thank you. Thank you. Doris, how about you? Are you you ready to go next?
Hello, and thank you for having me. I'm Doris Tony Irvin, and I'm running for the Jersey City Board of Education. I'm a life resident of Jersey City also, and a product of the Jersey City public school system. I have a Master's of Education from New Jersey City University, and I'm a professor of child development at Hudson County Community College. I come from a long history of educators that have educated in Jersey City. I have more than 30 years experience as an educator of children and as teachers. When I was certified at New Jersey City University with my master's program, I was certified as an elementary school teacher as well as an early childhood teacher. I'm a founder of a nonprofit where I help train and certify teachers in early childhood education for the public school system. And also I consult and assist childcare centers in developing and running appropriately and in compliance with the state. For the past few years through my nonprofit, I have been educating the children, the parents, and teachers throughout those 30 years. I currently run educational youth programs with children in Jersey City through my nonprofit. And I just wanted to say I have a strong passion for the education and enjoy assisting children and their families and teachers and educating and development. And the education field has become and is my passion and my career. And it has been such a great experience to have my running mates, Erica Baez and Tyson Halley, because Tyson, as myself, is a lifelong resident and a product of the Jersey City Public Schools. And I'm always amazed with Erica Baez and her knowledge that she has of the Jersey City Public School system as a parent, professional, working through the Parent Association, helping so many parents. I've been around her when she just gets calls from so many parents of various schools, not just her own schools, just getting information on things to help them to address needs that are working and things she needs to know within the Board of Education. Thank you.
Thank you. And you are on the
Oh, I'm
ballot.
sorry. I'm Doris Urban. I am column F, number 4.
Thanks. I'm also going to struggle with this name. I'm sorry. Yunus? How do you pronounce your name?
No problem. Yunus Barkuj. Okay, so I'm going to start. Hello, everyone. Thank you for having us first and foremost. Education Matters appreciates it. I definitely appreciate it. The opportunity to speak with the parents. My name is Yunus Mohammed Barkuj, ballot number 2F, and I'm a lifelong resident of Jersey City, all 22 years worth of it, or 16. I actually started my journey in Morocco. I was raised in Morocco, and after 6 years, I came to the United States, where my mother enlisted me or enrolled me at public school number 6, J.W. Wakeman. I then went on to study at middle school number 4 in the accelerated enrichment program. After that, I went on to attend Dr. Ronald E. McNair Academic High School. While I was at McNair, I was very involved in the track team, and that was one of the passions that I discovered while at McNair. I ended up getting I ended up getting recruited to Rutgers University. I competed at the Division I level. While at Rutgers, I studied biological sciences and public health, and the experiences that are relevant to the Board of Education. During my sophomore year, I got involved with a program called the Rutgers Educational Athletic Development Initiative. It was a mentorship program, and basically we provided mentorship services to student athletes in STEM. Research shows that or at least specifically at Rutgers, student athletes did not have the resources.
Eunice, we can't hear you well.
Oh, you can't hear me? Can you hear me now? Am I just not speaking loud enough? Hello?
That's a little better. I heard you better than some.
I apologize. I guess I'll just be closer and speak up. Okay.
Great.
So to get back to the Rutgers Educational and Athletic Development Initiative, it's a mentorship service offered to student athletes because it was discovered that student athletes didn't have the resources available to succeed in certain STEM disciplines or fields. I originally started as a mentee. After a year or so, I became a mentor and eventually a field leader. I was responsible for every single student athlete who chose pre-med as a track to pursue. So that was one of the experiences. I developed the curriculum as well as the syllabus for other pre-med mentors to follow and basically advise their mentees on. That experience ultimately motivated me to start Alumnor Mentoring, which was another mentoring initiative, another mentoring program, but it was ran specifically by McNair alumni, which is where I come from, McNair Academic High School, for McNair students. As a McNair student, I realized that although it's one of the best schools in the city, one of the best schools in the state, I, along with a lot of the kids who graduated alongside with me, agreed that McNair didn't necessarily prepare you for college as well as it could have. And that led me to question how well did the other schools prepare their students for college. So I started Alumnor, tried to kind of make sure that current students at the time, my little brother Smain and my little brother Hamza were students there. So I tried to make sure they had the resources available to succeed. I then decided to apply to a fellowship my senior year at Rutgers University. The fellowship was called the IRT, the Interdisciplinary Research Team Fellowship, and I studied educational and equity in Jersey City public high schools. And the second half of the year, I was given funding and allowed to extend my research to identifying certain inequities, and the main inequity I focused on was chronic absenteeism and certain initiatives to combat chronic absenteeism as well as other inequities. I ultimately came up with a mentor initiative that President Barack Obama designed in 2013, 2014, the My Brother's Keeper initiative. So, and to just kind of give you an idea of what I'd like to fix, definitely the infrastructure. As a student, I've definitely experienced firsthand how poor infrastructure can affect student learning, especially at McNair. At the end of the week, when there's no water, students are very grumpy. Students do not necessarily want to sit in class and learn if they're thirsty. So I'm definitely in support of improving infrastructure, potentially using the CARES Act funds. I'd also like to improve college and career readiness. Again, as a student, I felt like McNair didn't do a good enough job. And if McNair didn't do a good enough job, I can only imagine how good of a job the other schools did. And another focus would definitely to be provide better targeted special needs services to our special needs students. And that's about it. Thank you.
Thank you. So I wanted to double check. I did not hear back from Vishesh or Assad. If you're on here, put it in the chat and we'll put you on. I did want to say I don't know how to pronounce Tyson. Is it Tyson or Tyson? Tyson would like to be here. His mother recently passed, so he's mourning. He can't be here today. But you know, he did express that he wished he could, but you know.
Excuse me.
Oh yeah, go for it. Sorry.
I have a statement that Tyson gave. Can I read it, please?
Of course.
Okay, thank you. Hi, my name is Tyson Halley. I'm a long life resident of Jersey City. I'm running for school board because there is a need. With my background in special education, special needs children, as a language specialist, I know the needs. I understand, and I cannot be with you today because my mother passed away. Please continue to keep me in your prayers and thoughts as this time. Thank you so much. And please vote F4, F7, F8.
Thank you. So what we once again, I wanted to thank all the candidates and all the people watching for giving their time. We called this forum specifically because, hold on, I'm gonna go back to, I'm having my own tag. We called this forum because the Infinity PTA has been addressing the teacher shortages that are happening this year. We all know they're across the nation, but we care about Jersey City right now and we want solutions, and we haven't really seen a ton. And so we thought it would be worth getting you all, the new candidates, since this would be part of your responsibility. So I wanted to I'm going to start again with, we'll just keep the same order because otherwise it's too confusing. But the first, we're going to give everybody 5 minutes, each candidate 5 minutes in a row. And it's a broad question, but how will you, if you win, how will you address the teacher shortage? And we will start with Erica.
Thank you again. The teacher shortage has been exacerbated by the pandemic, but it's not something that is new to the district. And we are at fault for not prioritizing recruitment. I don't know how many of you know, but Newark managed to hire 350 teachers before the beginning of the summer. we've hired to date, that's through October, 120. Patterson had 10 job fairs. Jersey City had the one. Again, we waited until October. It's wonderful that we're having them now at the end of October, but the, first marking period is done. And we're coming out of a year filled with learning loss due to the pandemic. We need to have certified teachers. That being said, we can't go back and change what we did wrong. We can only move forward and do better. And one of the things that we really do need, the starting point, is to understand what the teacher shortages are. I know that Trustee Lyons has been very vocal in trying to find out how many vacancies we truly have, how many leave, positions are open, whether it's short-term, long-term, whether it's rolling, that they go out for 2 weeks, come back for a week, and then go back out again. Because then we can understand the whole picture and start planning for it. I know last night at the caucus, they discussed putting in lead teachers into those positions. They said that currently we, all positions that were filled as of Monday. That's something that they really should have considered at the beginning of the year, but thankfully they're thinking of it now. Parents need to make sure that these positions have been filled and to make the BOE trustees aware if they have not. One of the things that I think that we need to put back on the table, the administration, Superintendent Walker said it last night, had asked for a $5,000 signing bonus in August to incentivize teachers to come in. It was removed from the table and left us, with no real solutions. And in such a competitive market, we need to have everything on the table. And our kids, they are guaranteed an education by the Constitution of New Jersey. We need to do everything that we possibly can to make that happen. I agree with the district step to put in the lead teachers in as substitutes. We can go further. We used all this technology last year to teach. In emergency cases, there's no reason why we cannot have teachers in the subjects needed teaching their own class and being broadcast so that the teacher, that students without a certified teacher can join in that class, have their students join in, and be kind of the eyes and ears for that classroom, so that the students can get an education from a certified teacher, and that there's someone in the classroom that knows what's going on and can work on grading papers and making sure that content's understood. I know last year we had a teacher on call program. We need to make that available again so that if students are having any issues in class, that they can contact these certified teachers and get the instruction that they need. And of course, this would cost more money, but our children are worth it. We really can't afford to let them fall behind any more than they already have. And we also need to consider making sure that we allow for out-of-state teachers to transfer their credentials and the time served, because that's important to the district, so that there's a little more incentive for out-of-state teachers to look at Jersey City, and we have to make sure that we continue to heavily recruit. I know that I was talking to my running mate, Tony. She has experience about, because we know it's a crisis now, but it's something that we need to deal with on a continual basis. So making sure that we have the adequate staff by tapping into resources we already have, like paraprofessionals, substitute, but she's going to talk more about that.
Thank you. Natalia, we're posing the same question to everybody. So this is the question. Are you, yeah, there you go. You got it.
Thank you. So, Jed, I just wanted to make sure, you, in your preliminary email, you guys suggested like a multi-tier questions. You want me to just address it as general? I could just, do what Eric, or are you guys gonna go deeper in after we answer the first question?
I think the first question was our general. We really want to know, what are you going to do about the shortage? I think we will do a follow-up question based on kind of the specifics of what you say. But, the main question, the reason we asked all you here is for this number one, which was like, what are you doing will you do as a BOE member to address the teacher shortage?
Understood. Thank you so much.
No,
so
thank you.
Without taking away from the time, first of all, I want to commend Infinity Institute for creating a presence at the Board of Ed meeting last night. That was really great. Last time I saw, because I'm an Infinity parent, I also, this concerns me too. My son has been at Infinity since 7th grade. He's a freshman in high school now. So yeah, it's a big deal. And I would like to once again reaffirm the fact that parent voice really counts. Student voice counts, parent voice counts. Infinity Institute is also one of the schools that I've seen being the most vocal, first of all, during the building discussion and during the teacher layoffs as well. So Infinity students did a great job in coming out as a group with their teachers and advocating against layoffs and such. So in this case, I would like to think that the superintendent's response at the caucus meeting was not least due to the fact that you guys did put forth, an application, right? Like you appealed to the board, you appealed to the superintendent. I'm sure it was noticed and you saw a reaction. And that is a perfect testament to the power of parent voice. So that's a beautiful thing. But as an aside, I can't just put all the responsibility on parents going forward. So potentially as a board member, what I would hope to do to address this, other than the vigorous recruitment that we talked about and the job fairs, which are happening, unfortunately, as Erica said, there could be more, I agree, but we are here now. So let's just do the most with what we've got for the moment. And one of the things that we looked into and realized is that to date, there has not been a network or a liaison program with our local colleges. And as some parents who are here today, they have affiliations with various universities here in New Jersey City, whether it's Hudson County Community College or NJCU or St. Peter's. Our district has yet to build this kind of connection, a bridge with these universities when it comes to recruiting potential teachers who may already be studying to be teachers. And that could be one of the simplest and fastest ways to address this immediate shortage that we're experiencing right now in the short term. And that is what I would like to see. So I think board members can, they have the ability and the power to put together, whether through a subcommittee or, just advocacy, to make that happen and to facilitate the search. Because by recruiting directly from the universities, placing these young teachers or the starting teachers as substitutes with a hopeful guarantee of job placement in our district, that should facilitate the process. And also to piggyback on the whole lead teacher initiative, the fact that the district is willing to put back, I believe, nearly 100 lead teachers into classrooms. And for those of you, who aren't familiar, lead teachers, I had this experience in my daughter's school earlier that we had a teacher who, as a lead, they would provide an interdepartmental, almost like a oversight to their colleagues, but they are absolutely qualified. They are highly qualified, in fact, to teach in the classroom. They're subject teachers, and they're going back, or they're going to do what they're absolutely trained and qualified to do. So that should also alleviate the situation. But as far as our responsibility is concerned, as potential board members and as a community, I would absolutely encourage this type of bridge with our universities to strengthen recruitment. And I also have some long-term ideas, but I'll save them for the deeper questions, if that's okay.
Yeah. No, that's great.
Thank you.
Thank you. who's next? And next, I think you're next.
Yes.
Same question to you.
So how will I address the teacher shortage as a trustee for the Jersey City Board of Education? The teacher shortage has been an issue since before the pandemic. I think that we can find articles as far as 2016. And the pandemic is just putting, requirements for the pandemic as far as like immunizations, probably causing even more of an issue for people who want to be hired. So we will be talking about the qualifications that come from the state. And I would have, as a trustee, I would discuss the teacher shortage with my fellow board members and the superintendent and possibly like State Department of Education, where we could come to either having teachers who do hold degrees, but don't meet qualifications, where they can get training to meet those qualifications, or maybe even lessening the qualifications for someone becoming a teacher. Not to the point where we're just putting anybody in a classroom, because we do have to use caution with who we're putting in our children in their care. And I just think that topic is something that would have to be a team effort, and also something that would come from just a lot of different policies that are in place right now.
Okay, thank you. Paula, do you want to?
Okay, well, one of the first things that I know that we need to increase the shortage of teachers in Jersey City is that we do have to be competitive in the salaries. Our salaries are much less than other districts, We do have a lot of lead teachers, and I understand that some of those lead teachers have been sent back into the classroom. I understand that some of the people from central office have been sent back into the classroom. But I want to agree with Talia that, excuse me, I want to agree with Talia that we do need to establish some partnerships with the different colleges and students and train, and especially those who want to become educators, have some type of incentive that we can possibly hire them as subs. And then when they graduate, perhaps they will be able to be guaranteed a job based on interviewing and, of course, their work ethics. We also have to see that there are many people in the workforce that may be leaving corporate America, and teaching may be an idea that they have, such as business teachers, bankers and stuff, things like that. We may have to consider some of them. The emergency cert, we have those emergency cert teachers, and we have to encourage them to go back to school. And maybe an incentive would be that if they go back to get their teacher's degree, that they might be, their loan could be paid. Their loan might be paid. We also have to think about our children, and with our children, they need a lot of consistency. So I don't believe the system now has the subs at the pool subs. We may need to pull our pool subs back in and let them stay in the classrooms, or let them work with teachers that are experienced, so that they can become interested in being in the classroom. There are so many different ways that we need to be creative, and I'm sure if elected, that together with the board, we'll come up with some ways and incentives that can establish some type of network that will be able to cut this teacher shortage. And in our district itself, we have some schools that may be more overcrowded than others. And perhaps what we need to do is to see that each student is assessed and going to the school in his or her area. So if there's a program in the school up in the Heights, and all those children from Greenville want to go there and they go to the Heights, that's going to cause an overcrowdedness. So why don't we have equity or programs in all of the schools, so that each child is able to assess the school in their area, and maybe that will alleviate some of the overcrowding in the different classrooms. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you. Let's see. Doris, I believe you were next in the. Okay.
Okay, thank you. The teacher shortage, becoming more aggressive is definitely important for teacher recruitment, especially in the programs. Listening to my colleague Erica about having a lead teacher, we do some things like that in the college. As a professor, we have some assistants that do come into the college that do help a professor while she is teaching, or if she's not available, that does have a background in education, may not be certified yet, but they are doing various tasks to help keep the curriculum and the learning going forward. Also, within our college systems, we do have the pathways and alternate route that has been put in place because of the shortage of teachers. And we have many local colleges here in Jersey City that offer those programs. I believe if the schools would make making that education and information more available, giving tuition incentives, creating a liaison of support for new teachers when they're coming in. We have a lot of resources, and I think it's just us reaching out to them. Also, within our schools, there are staff members who would like to become teachers, but they just don't know the process. So having that education and training available for getting these people into the classrooms. And I say that because knowing child development, it's important that we get people in the classroom that the children are familiar with, they feel stable with, they respect and are reliable. When we have substitutes, it's too many transitions. There is no learning going on because maybe this is another person coming in. Now, each teacher has a different type of learning style. So it's important that we try to keep the right people in the right places and make sure that the students are familiar with the people who are coming into the schools. They're stable, the person's respectful, and it just gives the children a sense of security, because once they have that secured feeling in that learning environment, then they're open to be learning. But we do have tons of resources around with the local colleges and universities that do offer our alternate route program and certification process. And we do have people within our schools who are interested in going into those programs. It's just getting the information out to them so that they know how to go about it. And being that it's such a crisis right now, we need to look at maybe some tuition reimbursement situations so that we can get these people into these programs.
Great, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. And then, hold on, just changing my timer. Okay, so Jonas, do you want to?
Oh, yeah, I'd like to talk. And just
Yeah, you also once again are low. I saw you brought in your phone. Do you want to? Oh, I don't know if you. Just make sure to talk loudly because you are very soft.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure. So if you guys can hear me well now, like everything's good. Okay, awesome.
Go even a little louder. You're still very soft.
Okay. I don't know why that is, but okay. So I just wanted to start off by pointing out one thing. Newark did hire 350 teachers in the beginning of the summer, but recently it's been reported that there's still 120 teachers down. So Newark hasn't figured out how to hire more teachers, how to make sure that their staff is full, and it's a very difficult question. School districts all over the state are dealing with this. I'm definitely in agreement with Natalia's idea. Definitely creating some sort of pipeline for the students at NJCU, HCCC, and St. Peter's who are definitely want to become teachers, to kind of provide them the opportunity to intern in classrooms, and that will hopefully take away a lot of the stress that teachers are currently dealing with. Another thing I'd like to push for, and this is an extension of Doris's idea in regards that there is definitely staff in these buildings who have been around students, been around teachers for years. They definitely have, observed teachers for years, and they definitely potentially developed the skill set to be good teachers. And they definitely don't have access to the information on how to become a teacher. So whether we get on the board or not, I think the board should create a subcommittee to kind of oversee recruitment and address teacher shortages, while also providing current district staff the opportunity to become teachers. One of the things that we have to do is definitely incentivize more young teachers to come to the Jersey City School District. There are third-party companies like Teach for America, which literally their main pool of candidates are college students straight out of a master's program, straight out of a bachelor's program, and they offer a couple of incentives to kind of get them to Teach for America. One of them is providing tuition reimbursement for their master's. Anyone who works, any college student who graduated with a bachelor's and wants to become a teacher, Teach for America offers them the opportunity to study for their master's, to get their master's, and only pay a portion of the cost. So I think that's definitely something the district should explore. But obviously, we're going to have to go back and check the budget, do a forensic analysis of the budget to see if money can be allocated towards these programs. So that's all I want to say. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. So, I think what we're doing, there are some questions that are coming up in the chat. I'm going to do a quick one. We want to ask a follow-up, but I do want to do a quick one that I think Mariana asked in the chat, which I think was really good. And I'm going to do a quick round robin to all of you. We'll go in the same order, but a lot of these solutions sound very good. And I think you guys, I'm happy you guys are addressing it and you're thinking about it. A lot of them seem to take some time. A lot of them are, not all of them, but a lot of them seem to be 1 to 2 year solutions, which are great, but we are facing the shortage now. So I wouldn't mind if everybody has like 1 or 2 ideas that could solve it in the next couple months. Are there any solutions to get teachers in classrooms right now that you could suggest? I'll start back with Erica and then we can kind of just go around.
Well, I just want to start off by saying that according to the superintendent last night, that all these vacancies have been filled. So when we get back in school tomorrow, we need to confirm that. And if that has not taken place, because we've been assured, the board's been assured that these issues have been taken care of by placing lead teachers into these classrooms. So your children should be walking into certified teachers tomorrow. If not, I agree with, Natalia, that the parent voice is, very important, and the unified voice is what spurs the board into action. So let's make sure that they're doing what they say they have done, which is fill all these vacancies by placing lead teachers in. And we do need to look at teachers that are retiring or have resigned. What can we offer them in right now to keep them either at our school long-term or, throughout this year, to make sure that our students are receiving the education they deserve. And go further, like I said, make sure if we don't have a teacher, there are excellent teachers all over the district that could handle a bigger class size if they were allowed to use technology to teach the students remotely and use the substitute as assistant teacher. That's something that we are set up to do. It would be, we already offer teacher stipends for different things. That could be something that, we offer them as a stipend now to take care of our immediate issues.
Great. Thank you, Natalia. Like same question. I just a quick like what are some quick solutions that you
Sure. So exactly, I really agree with Eric. I mean, it's just to hammer home again what superintendent said yesterday and the lead teachers and everything. But I just want to say that the initiative of recruiting directly from colleges, and so we're having a job fair this Saturday. The district is having it, and if you think about it, it doesn't have to take 1 to 2 years. I promise you. And I'm using personal experience as a parent. When my daughter was in kindergarten, I can't remember if it was due. Obviously, it wasn't as dire of a need, but there were, if not two, definitely at least 2 student teachers in our school that were recruited on the spot because there was a need. And there were definitely student teachers. They weren't, teachers yet. And so that could happen fast as long as there's an initiative to do so. So I would really just want to stay on top of our district to make sure that they go through with that, because as Erica said, it's all about keeping on top of our district administration. Unfortunately, it as parents, and it goes the same for the board trustees as well. It's just keeping the finger on the pulse, so to speak. So yeah. And also, I'm sorry, one more thing that Gina Bertobello brought up at the caucus meeting yesterday, and she actually turned to the district administrators themselves, and she said, listen, well, you have a ton of people at central office who are educators. And I know that's not an easy kind of thing to determine, but if there could be a quick kind of audit or a research done as to who can possibly be spared from the central office, who is an educator, and be quickly placed in a classroom while the slightly longer term solutions are figured out, that could also help alleviate the situation. Because as Bridget just shared in the chat, the graph that the superintendent presented us with yesterday, for the 38 presumed hires, we have 102 people out, so I don't know how that balances out the need, but just because we hired people, it may not necessarily mean that all our classrooms are suddenly fully staffed. So yeah, any idea is good at this point.
Yeah, no, thank you. I will say, because both of you have commented on it, to those who didn't see, last night the superintendent said that all the positions were filled and we are not missing any staffing. Bridget's data, Bridget is one of our PTA as one of our members of our PTA rather, disagrees with that data. I will tell you all, and then we'll move on to a few, that there's a big discrepancy between the amount of teachers on leave that the superintendent said there were, and that we're seeing in the classrooms and in the data. So I just wanted to put that out there to say that I don't think the teacher shortage will be solved tomorrow when we all go into class. I think there's still a lot of teachers in fact, I know there are many teachers on medical leave, and they're also on filled positions no matter what the superintendent says. So I just wanted to kind of put that little piece. That's from me. That's not that's not even from the PTA. But anyways, do you want to say what you do you have any short solutions, short term?
When we're talking about teachers, we you have to use caution of who we're putting our children in, with the care of our children. I just know in the past that there are many teachers who are qualified, haven't been hired, stay as substitutes, and are even overlooked by staff that does the hiring in the schools, where they're more qualified than another substitute teacher, and actually connect better with the students. So those are some of the issues there too, where you have a teacher shortage, where there's I'm going to say it, there's a lot of African American substitutes that do not get positions where they qualify for, and it's pretty much a race game in the teaching sector. I just had to point that out a little bit. But when we're talking about teachers, again, you got to be cautious of who we're putting in the classroom with our children and the students. So while the positions may be filled, will they connect with them? You have ESL students, maybe an English speaking teacher is not going to be able to help them. You have students who speak English, a teacher who might be an ESL teacher might not be able to, the students might not be able to understand. I know that was an issue when I was going to school, and a lot of issues when my children were in school school, they couldn't teacher. So there's a lot of things that need to be looked at. I don't think it's an overnight answer with the teacher shortage. I think there's a lot of things that have been built up in causing this teacher shortage.
Thank you. Paula, you already know you're on. I think you unmuted.
Okay, yes, I'm on. Yes, I was just thinking about, of course, this is some time ago when I was teaching, and when I was talking about pool subs, many of the pool subs that were in the schools that I was in at the time were certified teachers, and they were pool subs because they're waiting to get a job. So if we have any subs there now that are consistent, that have a degree, that have a degree in the area that they're teaching, then I think now is the time that we should use them. Another thing that may not be immediately, I was also thinking about a residency incentive. If you work here and teach here, and perhaps with the resident incentive, they could become part of I think there's a teacher program where you can buy a house at half price. So these are things that we kind of need to think about, these different type of incentives. And also there are paras who have degrees. All paras are not, they're not have, all paras, some paras have college degrees, and we need to encourage them now to get back into the classroom.
Thank you. Thank you. Doris.
Yes, I also watched last night, and I thought it was interesting when they were telling maybe some of the administrators who have teaching degrees that have gone on and are working at the board, but maybe take some times to just come into the classrooms to help, because we do have a major crisis at this time, and being helpful during this crisis, maybe just temporary, but to get somebody's in the classroom that are going to be certified teachers and know the curriculum and know how to actually teach and are familiar with the curriculum and what's going on in the classrooms.
Yep. Eunice?
So I guess just to kind of just to kind of, I guess, hello? Okay, just to kind of reiterate, I don't, not to reiterate, but I guess what I want to say is that there is no simple solution. If we try to hurry the process of hiring as many teachers as possible so that there are no teaching shortages, the students are going to suffer. And again, I think every member's made this point. I think we're all in agreement that we want to provide students with the best possible resources, and teachers are resources. And if we don't, if we don't take the hiring process seriously and make sure that the best possible candidates are chosen, our students are going to suffer. So I would like to reiterate what Natalia said. This program of creating this pipeline between the universities that are in Jersey City and connecting them with the teachers who are in the school district. If we work really hard and we're really on top of it, it's definitely something that could produce results within a couple of months or so. It doesn't have to be a 1 to 2 year solution as long as we put in the work necessary. And I want to say that I think it's the responsibility of the Board of Education to kind of find third-party organizations that do provide, certification training for teachers who aren't necessarily traditional teachers, who haven't gone through the teaching requirements or the training requirements to become teachers. And if this was just kind of off the top of my head, this is just simply a thought, but it's not a definite solution. But I was thinking that there's a lot of kids who graduated from the Jersey City Public School District who are currently teachers, who may currently be looking for employment. A couple of kids from my class. And again, as long as we provide, the necessary livable salary to live in Jersey City and be a teacher in Jersey City, they're not going to come. But I was going to say, we should definitely, the school definitely keeps records of students, like their names, their information, and we should definitely reach out to alumni who have graduated in the last 10 years or so, and potentially see their interest if they are teachers, if they'd be interested in coming back and teaching in Jersey City. That's just something off the top of my head. Thank you.
Thanks. I am going to Jan, who is our PTA president. She has a question. She wanted to ask the next question. So Jan, go for it.
Yeah, I have this question for Erica. Erica, you mentioned the $5,000 sign-on bonus was off the table. And some of the parents in the chat room asking like who took it off? Is that union? Is that the district? We got into this complicated system issue that we may or may not be able to answer. But in my conversation with the current board members, I was given the answer that the sign-on bonus was taken off. I don't know by who, but for the reason, partially at least, that it would exceed the $60,000 starting salary for the teachers who have been hired so far. So it will create inequality among the staff. So then there was like a huge concern there. My question is that since you talked about it, I would like to have some clarification from your expertise. Is sign-on bonus a one-time offer? Should that be calculated into salary? If not, how can we compare this one-time sign-on bonus with the $60,000 start off salary? So that is my question. Like I just wanted to have a way to ascertain if this board member's response is trying to understand if this is legitimate or not. Maybe there's other ways to get around it. So can you help us understand that?
Definitely. So the $5,000 signing bonus was proposed by the administration. It was to be voted on by the board. They went, to public comment, and that issue of the bonus putting new hires at a higher salary range did come up frequently. And the board went into private session. When they came out, it was off the table. So the administration didn't pull it. It was just not something that the trustees were willing to deal with in that moment. Maybe they felt that the recruiting was going to be more productive than it was, and I understand, listen, I think that a lot of our teachers don't get paid enough money, but the issue at hand in terms of the signing bonus would be to attract the help that we so sorely need, and that it would be a one-time bonus so that next year their salaries would be lower, would be starting at the same range than teachers with more experience. And it is not to say that our current teachers don't deserve something of their own, but we can't conflate the two interests and say the solution is not to offer any incentives when we know that it's a competitive market. Definitely we need to have that conversation about competitive pay, especially amongst our newest teachers. Tony talked about is one of the things that we have failed to do is support teachers. This is why there's so many resignations. This is why teachers move out of district. So there are two different issues. Our current crisis of not having teachers, and parents need to go to the board and say, we need to put that starting bonus back in as an incentive. And then let's talk about our current teachers, what we can do to retain them, whether it be, talking about competitive salaries, making sure that they're supported. We're asking teachers to do a lot of things, it's not just teaching. So we need to make sure that they have the resources they need so that they're not burned out. Again, two separate conversations. And saying yes to sign-on bonuses does not prohibit for us from having conversations about the real necessity to retain the talent that we already do have. You know, these are two equally important but separate issues. And the one that we need to deal with now for our children is finding ways to be competitive in today's market. And the question that we have to deal with sooner rather than later is making sure that our current teachers are getting a livable wage. You know.
Thank you. Wonder if other candidates will have some.
Actually, yeah, Natalia actually said she would like to respond to the same question.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Amen to what Erica said. I just wanted to have the ability to expand on it if possible, whether on behalf of my team or as myself, like if you guys want to just do it team, team and team response. So yes, absolutely. Competitive salaries. The superintendent mentioned it, as you remember, in the caucus meeting as well. One of our issues as a district in recruitment is the fact that we are unable to offer competitive salaries for starting teachers. And I'm not, if you allow me, I'm not going to be able to speculate about the bonus situation, about the sign-on bonus proposal and who, as to how it was suggested and how it was withdrawn. But in that context, though, just taking that as an example and as a need, right, in terms of why we need to offer our teachers a more competitive rate, the starting salary, I just want to make a slight correction because there was a suggestion that the starting salary was $60,000 a year. So our starting salary in the Jersey City Public Schools for a starting teacher is $54,500. And that could be verified. I trust Bridget D'Souza could probably do it faster than I will, but I know that there's a public directory of teachers, and I know that it probably can be clarified easily enough with staff as well. But that I know that by speaking with teachers that I know and around me. So $54,500 as a salary annually puts you just above the affordable housing qualification, which means that you don't qualify. You make more than the necessary amount. And definitely below the normal rent, because in order to qualify for like the average rent of $1,800 or $2,000 a month in Jersey City, you need to make triple that salary to qualify. So as a starting teacher, you're neither here nor there. And so you can't really live in Jersey City and work here. And unless you're like really like a young student and are not in need of an immediate second income to survive, a lot of our teachers are moonlighting. They do second, third jobs if necessary, just in order to make ends meet. And that's a fact. And so the bottom line is that, and this is one of the long-term solutions that I was going to suggest. So if you allow me, I'm going to just delve deeper into this whole issue. We need to, as a board, going into the future, address raising our teacher salaries. And I've been watching these people for 7 years, going on 8, the way they struggle, the way they try to make ends meet. And with the pandemic, with everything else, with the other districts paying more, it's just, something has to be done, which is why we're having all these problems right now. So obviously it will have to affect kind of bigger issues, collective bargaining agreements going forward, and as it affects the other staff that's currently employed. But the starting salary of $54,500, if it can be raised to the 60 that was, suggested, even that could make a huge difference, because that would put them on a competitive level with other districts. And it's something that needs to be done and addressed. So you can see how important that is and how dire of a need that may be. So I'm just going to leave it at that, in case you guys want to delve deeper into it. But just as figures, to leave you with the figures, that's the starting salary, which, don't take me on my word, do your own research, ask, verify. And the max that it can go to, my understanding, you cannot sorry. So that salary will not grow you have to be employed for at least, I think, 10 years as a teacher in Jersey City Public Schools for that salary to go even remotely higher, I think, to the about $60,000 a year level. So if you can imagine working for 10 years as a teacher in Jersey City Public Schools with the best qualifications you can have, to only see your salary go up by like $5,500 in a 10-year frame before you actually see any real increases, that gives you an idea of what these people kind of are looking at. And as parents, as a community, we have to understand that we're asking these people to do their utmost, their absolute best for our children with these types of circumstances. So I know that it could be argued as to what, what the solutions may be, but I just wanted to leave you with those figures before we move on. Thank you so much.
Thank you. That's actually great. And actually, in the comments, Trish asked a comment that was very similar to what I was going to ask, which is this comes down to the contract. So I will ask, does that mean, if we're talking about salaries, which has come up from a lot of you, does that mean amending the contract? And is that what you all are discussing? Because the starting salary, I assume, comes out of the contract. So I guess I'm going to keep rolling through. If you wanted, do you want to answer that? Sorry.
No, I don't want to answer that question. I think there's a lot more issues than finance that are causing the teacher shortage and a lot of things that are going on in the school.
Okay. I'm actually going to do, I can roll right through, but actually I'm going to go now because it's kind of a question that another parent asked. I'm going to say, does anyone want to address that question? Does anyone have an opinion on that question?
I just wanted to add, even though when the superintendent was talking yesterday, he did mention that we are also losing teachers due to that, the funding issue or their salary issues, not necessarily the pandemic or, just not wanting to go be in person in school. Some teachers have left because there are other incentives in other cities that are being offered. So they're going for a higher position, for a higher pay.
Right. Okay.
Can I?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think that, it's a crisis and it's going to continue. This trend, that we're seeing now, will continue if we don't take action. We need to look at what is competitive. And if that does mean raising, like renegotiating contracts for the starting salary, then it should be done, because this is our children's future we're talking about, and this means that we have to do whatever is necessary to attract and to retain. Those are, it's not just making sure that people come here, it's making sure that the people that do come here stay here, because, like Natalia was saying, it's only around 55,000 for a starting salary. 10 years is a very long time to go up one level. And I don't know how many people know this, but teachers don't get paid. They have to pay into their pension, they have to pay their health benefits. This leaves them with maybe 55% of their actual salary to live on. And how can you ask someone to come in and do this job that's so critical to our students, to making the world work, but not have a livable wage, on top of teaching, moonlighting, to get more money. So it's almost like a 24-hour day for some teachers, because they have to make sure that they're teaching while they're supposed to be teaching, and then comes everything else that goes along with it, the grading of papers, the filling out of paperwork, and all that stuff. When in the day do they have time to live their own lives, especially if they're having to get second or third jobs? So we definitely need to look at that, so that we don't continue down this path that's only going to degrade the quality of education for too many of our Jersey City students.
Okay. Thank you. Jan, did you want to ask, Jan had actually another private, like a question that had come in privately, but do you want to ask, I think for Paula, did you want to ask. Oh, I'll ask. It was a question that came in privately, but basically, Paulo, there were two things you discussed that people had questions about, which is one, emergency certifications, and how to make that happen. People were asking questions, how possible that is, kind of, and then also about your idea. You had said about subs. Hold on, sorry, I'm just going through the chain. Sorry. Do you know that the constraints preventing subs from teachers? And if you do, we'd be interested in hearing about it. Oh, hold on, you're muted.
Okay, hello? Hello?
We hear you. We hear you fine.
Oh, okay. I just wanted to address this thing about the competitive salary and about some teachers who have left. And with our salaries only being 54,000 starting, a lot of teachers were doing the after school jobs to make up that difference. And then they found out when they were going to other districts, they could work one job and make what they were doing at Jersey City. So I do feel that we have to find a way to bring the salary up, because just as someone stated before, a teacher could be working 10 years and only get to $10,000. And then in 10 years, a new teacher may be making $10,000. So we do have to do something with the contract, Now, with addressing the question about emergency cert teachers usually may come from the business world or something. They don't have teacher certification, but they are encouraged to go back for teacher certification to get whatever area that they're teaching in with emergency cert. I would hope that emergency cert teachers who came out the business world would be teaching business. Or if they came out the banking world, they would teach finances. That's what I would hope, that it would be with that. In a lot of cases, it's not that case. So they are encouraged when they do come to go back and get the area that they're teaching in. I hope that answered the question.
It did. Thank you. I wanted to, because we've all kind of gone around, do you want to also, how do you feel about the competitive nature, or because would you be willing to, or are you eager to amend the contract for salaries? Or, I mean, you suggested some other solutions as well, but I was curious what your take on that is.
Well, who's you talking to? Someone else?
I was asking Yana. Yeah. I'm going to mute you, Paulo. Sorry. Go for it, but go loud.
Could you repeat the question? You said, am I for amending the teacher contract?
Well, no, because it seems to be one of the major things that came up. You had said we need to be careful about who we hire. We need to pick quality. We need to pick quality candidates, not just anyone. Would you, do you feel that salary, I mean, obviously is a major concern. Do you think amending the teacher contract is one way you would talk about, or do you have other solutions to retain or attract?
Another possible solution, which I thought over, was potentially working with city council to offer teachers certain benefits. I think one previous candidate earlier said that teachers maybe potentially they would get certain benefits that regular citizens don't necessarily have access to. So maybe if they were to apply, maybe the city could work to create some sort of fund that would help provide housing for teachers, or provide them with some sort of rental assistance to make living in Jersey City more livable. Maybe potentially they could use this fund to help teachers have access to better groceries and that kind of stuff. I mean, I feel like I keep saying this, and I don't want to bore everyone by repeating it. As a student, I was in those classrooms where we had a sub that had no idea what they were doing, and that was just a day of learning lost. And subs are making $100, $130, and that's money down the drain. You I don't know however many subs they are, that I can't speak to I guess how good each sub is, but the subs in my experience, there were subs who didn't have the training necessary to be a substitute teacher. I remember I was taking a French class in high school, and my teacher, she was pregnant. She had to be away, completely understandable. And they brought in a sub who did not speak French whatsoever, and we had to we had that substitute for a couple of months. So I think it's important that we improve the hiring process, and again, that we do increase wages for new teachers while also ensuring that teachers who have been loyal to the district are properly compensated. I want to state that I'm not too certain if the contract can be amended before it ends. I think I'd have to look at that. If any other candidate can answer that, I appreciate that. But again, I think we do have to, we have to look at, it's all about choosing the lesser two evils, right? We can either find a solution right now, but then run the risk of hiring, teachers who aren't necessarily as good as the ones that we already have in place, or we can start investing in long-term solutions. And I think that's what we should be focused on. Currently, the state offers like certain grants, competitive grants, for producing your own, for creating your own, grow your own teachers initiatives, right? So if we can start working on those initiatives now, then it'll improve the future for future generations, right? So again, like I'm more focused on long-term solutions. I don't personally think there's any immediate solutions that we can create. Any immediate solutions, I think we'd have to work with city council, again, to provide these teachers with certain extra benefits that are not available to regular citizens. Maybe the same benefits that are available to law enforcement, firefighters, EMTs, paramedics. Like that's what I'm trying to say. Thank you.
Thank you. I want to respect everybody's time, and we said we'd take about an hour. We're at an hour 20. We'll probably go a little bit long, obviously. But what I would, there's one more question. I just maybe quick, if everybody can give like a quick 10 to 30 second answer, and then we'll go to closing remarks, and that is from parent Teresa, who says, "What are the candidates' positions on the vaccine mandate on the students?" So let's just do a quick round robin through. We'll go the same order. Erica, you start, and then.
Currently, there are no mandates for vaccines, and I believe in vaccinations. Our pre-K students have to have the flu vaccine every year because they are very vulnerable to it. Our sixth graders have to have 2 vaccines to, enter into sixth grade. These are things that have been in place for, a long time now in terms of the coronavirus virus vaccine. There is nothing ready for children under age of 11 as to now. And those that are older are just being recommended to get them when the state decides, that a stringent mandate has to be in place. I'm sure that's going to be after very careful a look at the studies as to any side effects or after effects. Then as BOE members, we would have to follow that mandate. But until that's in place, I believe that we need to provide an avenue for, the testing of our, unvaccinated students when, we're in high risk situations like the upcoming holidays, this whole thing about quarantining if you're leaving the state. Like we should have something in place where we test students coming back in from holiday, test teachers from coming back, during the holidays, because we know this is where things can get out of hand. So again, in terms of a mandate, it should be what has been legally decided.
Okay. Natalia?
Thank you. So I believe it would have to come from the governor, just like it was with the mandatory vaccine for teachers. But just if I could share a little bit of what we've heard from the campaign trail, speaking with parents and staff who has children in public schools, especially because, as Erica said, it's still in development, vaccines for younger children, even though I think I recently saw on CNN that something has been started in development for 5 to 12 years old, which is great, but we still have to wait and see, right? And how many parents are going to be eagerly, putting their kids up for that? So here's just my simple response as a parent and as someone who cares about kids being in school. I do not want to see any parent not send their child to school because of I know a lot of parents are afraid to send their child to school because of the fear of the disease, right? But for the same reason, I believe that we may see parents keeping their kids at home if they feel that, such a mandate would be in place. And for whatever personal reasons that they may have, some of which may be health related of their own personal nature, that they would not send their children to school. And I think that children should be in school. I think it's extremely important for their development. And I think that we have to continue being as flexible and as fluid and just listen to what the governor says and kind of go with that. And, just thank God that that responsibility does not yet rest on us. So that's as best as I can tell you.
Okay. Afaf?
Yes, hi. So the vaccine, I don't think that anyone should be forced to take a vaccine to get education or have a job. So I think that it should be left as a personal decision for the parent to make for their child, or for a teacher or anyone to make for themselves, in order to anyone to provide for their family. So vaccine, I think that should be left as a personal choice.
Okay. Who's next? Paula.
Yes, I agree that it should be a personal choice. Many parents are afraid of getting the vaccine. I know when I was young, that's all that we had to have vaccines to get to school. But in the last few years, people have been finding out that vaccines have been causing children to have special disabilities. And so the parents are truly afraid of that. I really think that it's a choice that parents would have to make. And as Natalia said, it has to be government mandated. So I'm not going to say I'm in favor. I'm not going to say I'm not in favor, but it's definitely a choice for the parents. And also, if the children have to be mandated and the parents are afraid, they may keep the children at home, and then that's going to affect their education again. Okay.
Okay, thank you. Doris? Sorry, Doris.
Okay. Hi. I also think a personal choice, I also think it's a personal choice, as well as following the guidelines that the CDC has imposed and our governor. But it's also very important that we continue to educate our community, our children, our parents on what is going on, how this affects our children, and giving them as much information as possible and being very transparent with this vaccine. I know when the flu shot was mandated, we did have a little pushback at that time too, with quite a few parents when they started that with the pre-K children, and they needed that at 3 years old to actually even attend preschool. And as time went on, parents decided, to have their children vaccinated and get the flu shot to be able to start school. But it is a personal choice, but also we have to make sure we have the right education and information out there for the parents to make an informed decision. Thank you.
Thank you. Yanis, do you want to?
Yeah. So I'd like to say that in regards to the vaccine mandate, if the federal government were to push such a thing, then obviously we'd have to be in support and we'd have to make sure that students are vaccinated. But I don't think that we should be forcing anyone to inject themselves with anything. I personally, I believe in the science behind the vaccine. I believe everyone should be vaccinated, but that does not mean I believe people should be forced to do something they don't want to. I think the best course of action is to provide them the necessary information to help them understand why we believe the vaccine works and why it's going to ensure the community safety. So yeah, I'm not going to push for a vaccine mandate, mainly because I don't want to make any parents, any students uncomfortable. But if the governor, the federal government were to I guess, enforce a vaccine mandate, we would have to enforce it and we would have to support it. I'd also like to address a couple of questions that they asked in the chat. Specifically, Marina, you stated as of right now, high school students who need to be proactive and find virtual solutions for kids to learn. I'm complete support of that, just because I don't think that we need to immediately hire teachers and run the risk of hiring bad teachers does not mean I don't think that we need to find certain programs / initiatives that supplement the education provided. So one of the things I'm for is mentorship, creating a mentorship model that is similar to the one that they've implemented in New York City, the New York City Success Mentors Corps, where they literally pair students. It depends on what sort of mentoring program they're offering for which specific school, whether it's a community mentorship service where they pull mentors from the community, or it's an in-school mentorship service where they take older students who have a proven track record of good grades, academic achievement, extracurricular involvement, and they pair them with younger students who are currently at risks, and this is identified by teachers. So I'm completely all for ensuring that students, get the resources that they need to supplement that education that they're lacking in. And then for the parent that stated, what's the candidate's position on increasing the number of specialized middle schools and high schools like McNair, or the number of seats at these schools so that all Jersey students can be served? I do believe that we should increase the amount of space that McNair has. We should definitely allow more Jersey City students to get into McNair, so that way they can also experience that environment. But as someone who graduated from McNair, I don't think we need to increase any specialized or middle school, high schools. I personally think that we have to focus on the current high schools, current middle schools, and we have to identify what problems they're dealing with, what inequities they're dealing with, and provide targeted support. Again, at McNair, there were students who were failing out. We start off class of 200 freshman year, and by senior year, we're at 175. The only reason why those students are not added to the data, why McNair has 100% graduation rate, is because any students who aren't going to graduate, they're not in McNair by senior year. So I don't think, creating specialized high school like McNair is going to improve the quality of education provided in Jersey City. I think we need to ultimately find what inequities affect each individual school and provide targeted support. So yeah, and I think we can do that by improving our data collection. Currently, the New Jersey Department of Education collects data for all school districts in New Jersey. I think we need to create a more local process of collecting data, so we don't have to look at aggregate data, and we're not missing any students who kind of might be covered with the aggregate data. Thank you.
Thank you. So I keep saying I want to respect all your time, and I keep taking more of it. So I'm going to ask you, if you can, to keep your closing statements shorter. So if you can kind of keep it to around a minute, which I know is hard, but I'm going to ask each of you to kind of give your closing statements. And then before I do, I just want to thank everybody for coming. This is your time, and I really appreciate it. I also want to thank the PTA. I approached them, and we have the Infinity PTA has been very wonderful about mobilizing and embracing these kind of things, and very quickly got something together to get all of you to do a forum. And I'm really happy we're talking about this, because I think that's the solution. I think we need to talk about this and come up with stuff. And obviously it doesn't end now, but hopefully people have a better idea about all of you as candidates. Don't forget to vote. I mean, sounds stupid, but everybody should know that they can vote early, or you can vote on next Tuesday. So I just wanted to get everybody's closing statements, and I also want to say thank you to all of you. And we'll start with Erica.
Thank you, Jed. Thank you to the Infinity PTA. Parent advocacy, that's really one of the ways that we're going to change the district. Again, I'm Erica Baez, ballot position F8. I just want to say I've been doing the work. I was part of several district administrative committees, the reopening committee last year, this year. I frequently speak at the BOE meetings advocating for students, teachers, and parents. I have a deep understanding of what's currently happening in the district, what our issues are, and ways to fix these things. You know, transparency and communication have been the greatest issues our district faces. There's, you know, information out there that's not being, you know, shared properly. Eunice talked about looking at our information. The information's there. The district just needs to provide that to everyone so that we can have an accurate picture of what's going on. So we can see really where our, you know, where the inequities lie. So I truly am grateful to have this opportunity. Whether I am elected or not, I will continue to, you know, advocate to improve the quality of education for all students in Jersey City. Like we said, they should all high schools should be McNair's. All middle schools should have the same programming as the AEP programs. This should not be just specific schools. It should be available to all our students. Thank you again. I'm Erica Baez, F8. And yes, vote for whoever you think can do the best job.
Thank you. Natalia, do you want to give your closing statement?
Thank you so much, Jed. Thank you, and all of the Infinity parents present here and guests and candidates. Amen to what Erica just said. It's been a dream of mine since I first joined the Parent Council and started working in it to give the kind of tools that we ended up discovering on the path of parent volunteers in Jersey City Public Schools to across all our schools, and to amplify the parent voice and to amplify the student voice to the highest possible degree. I've seen the students of Infinity advocate for themselves. I want to be able to see all students of our Jersey City Public Schools being able to advocate for themselves effectively before the board, before the district administration, before the community at large. That is my vision, my personal vision. And one of my number one goals, going back from my experience as a parent council leader, not just to volunteer, but to train other parents and to create the type of framework that they deserve to make their work as parent volunteers easier, to make your job easier, and hopefully for all other parent groups across our city. My name is Natalia Yofi, ballot position 3F, Education Matters with Paula and Eunice. Thank you.
Thank you. Afaf, it is your turn.
Okay, thank you for having me, inviting me onto this forum. I appreciate it greatly. It's very informative, helped me grow a little bit more in this area. And I just want to say that we have to keep the two main members of the school system in the forefront, the teachers and the students. If our teachers are suffering, our students are going to suffer even greater. The children are already, you know, and especially in the communities that I'm in, they're already suffering very greatly because the lack of teachers that really care, and the lack of teachers that can make it to the school to show that they care. I'm 5F, Afaf Muhammad, and I thank you very much for having me on this forum.
Thank you. Who's next? Paula, you're next.
Yes, I just want to thank you so much for allowing me to be here and to express my thoughts. I appreciate you. I feel like that my experience, I have a degree in urban education plus 32, and I feel that my experience will allow me to help further the mission of the Board of Education. I am an active listener and a great effective communicator. I would like to bring transparency to the parents. I'm a strong advocate for children with special needs, and I wish to see equity brought to them. And the parents, of course, understanding the needs of their students and seeing that their IEPs are being adequately implemented. And I am Paula Jones Watson. On the ballot, I am Paula Jones, 1F. Thank you.
Thank you. And by the way, congratulations on your marriage. Doris.
Yes, I am Doris Tony Irvin, and a lifelong resident of Jersey City. I'm a professor of child development I have over 30 years experience in educating teachers as well as children. I come from a long line of educators that work here in Jersey City, so I know the right questions to ask to make good changes to help benefit all children in Jersey City. I understand the data, and I bring a critical and a unique voice to the Board of Education. I'm very concerned in dealing with parent issues and educating our parents to help bring about equity throughout our district. And my name is Doris Tony Irvin. I'm column F, number 4. Thank you.
Thank you. And Yanis, last but not least, this order, by the way, was completely random.
It's no problem. I enjoy going last. If anything, I'm the youngest one here. I definitely have the least community involvement, and I respect the other candidates for how involved they are, especially Natalia Ayoff and Paula. Like, I stand on the shoulders of giants by being partnered with them. The fact that I'm lacking in experience, they've definitely made up for that. But although I am lacking in experience, that doesn't take away from the fact that I am willing to learn, and that's what this whole process has been. I committed a year-long fellowship project that was funded by Rutgers, where I specifically studied educational and equity in Jersey City public schools. I'm familiar with the databases, the accountability system that the Every Student Succeeds Act enforces on every single state. And I think I bring a fresh perspective to the Board of Education, as well as the fact that I've experienced firsthand a lot of how the policy the board implements affects the students. And I'd like to make sure that students get a voice at the table. I think we sometimes forget that for the schools to function, the parents, the teachers, and the students got to come together and work together. And I think that's what Education Matters represents. I think that's what our team represents. We have Paula, a teacher who over 34 years of experience, worked in special education. We have Natalia Aya, a mother who's been involved in the school district for years and who has run 2 other times and was deserving of being elected those 2 other times. But unfortunately, that was not the case. And I think they both deserve to get elected as well as myself. Again, one of the things I want to focus on is improving college and career readiness. Oftentimes, the district, we're so focused on making sure graduation rates are 100%, making sure that, we pass the state assessments. And then as soon as students graduate, that's it. They're no longer our concern. And as a student who went through that experience, I want to make sure that when students graduate, they can tell other students from other school districts that they meet in college, oh yeah, when I was in high school, they had this program that exposed us to this internship opportunity where I developed this skill. And this is why I'm pursuing this specific field. So again, on November 2nd, please make sure to vote Education Matters. Natalia Ayoff, Paula Jones-Watson 1F, Eunice Mohammed Barkouch 2F, and Natalia Ayoff 3F. Thank you. And thank you again to the PTA of Infinity for having us and giving us the opportunity to speak with parents.
Thank you. Well, I guess that is the end of this forum. I want to thank everybody for coming, for everybody for their comments, stuff in the comments, for everybody, for all the candidates, of course. And once again, I want to thank the PTA for hosting or for all of it. So yeah, everybody have a good night, vote, and yeah, stay dry.
Thank you.
Thank you again for having us.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.